and Trust.
You got it. Montecito Bank and Trust. Behind every great community is a great bank. Montecito.bank. Member FDIC.
Koto Group. We are a boutique property management firm located here in the Central Coast. We are small enough to prioritize your business and large enough to match the right tenants with your property. Koto Group. We work for you 24/7 with around-the-clock marketing and emergency service. At Koto Group, we use leading-edge software, making us efficient and cost-effective. Koto Group. Property management for the 21st century.
Do you have a special event coming up? Go to Zoto's for all your party needs. At Zoto's, they offer packages for birthday parties, corporate and team building events, accompanied, of course, with a light show, DJ, delicious food, bowling, and full bar. Call 967-0128, where the staff will help you plan and execute an exciting event, all within your budget. Go to Zotos.com to book your party now, because when you're having an event, it's got to be Zoto's.
Hi, I'm Dan Farrick, Managing Director of the Impact Hub Santa Barbara. Come visit us and find out why co-working spaces are booming. Our 2 locations in the Funk Zone and downtown Santa Barbara offer private offices, permanent desks, and a variety of co-working memberships starting as low as $60 a month. Mention Co-work Radio when you book our tour, and we'll give you 10% off your first 6 months of membership. Join a community where you can live and work smart. Go to ImpactHubSB.com or call 284-0078 to find out more.
Welcome back to Co-work Radio here on KZSB 1290 AM. I'm Catherine Raymock.
And I'm Jane Walker-Wood.
And we're a show all about the modern entrepreneur. Each week, 2 company founders we have in studio with us right now, and so happy to have a lawyer, law professor, and broker, John Thyne. John is the founder and CEO of a real estate brokerage company, Goodwin & Thyne Properties, recipient of the Best Central Coast Midsize Business Award and the Pacific Coast Business Times, and so much more. Also past president of the University Club, Santa Barbara County Bar Foundation. Oh, the list goes on. And apparently he can sing show tunes, too. John, how are you?
Hi, good morning. I'm well. I can listen to show tunes.
What was the show you just saw?
We just saw Aladdin at the Pantages this weekend.
Oh, was it fabulous?
It was a lot of fun.
No, and do you find yourself actually kind of singing along a little bit? Yeah?
Quietly to myself.
Oh, good. All right. Well, then we won't put you on the spot there. We have so many things we want to talk to you about. So I do want to talk a little bit about your business, but then we're going to quickly kind of segue into what people really need to know after the fire and floods. I will just say I've been in Santa Barbara for a very long time. I remember how unique Goodwin & Thyne was when you came into the Santa Barbara area and decided you were not going to charge the normal percentage as a real estate broker. So tell me about that. What was that idea? Did you take it from somewhere else or decide to just do it here?
I had actually done that previously in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I'd lived prior to coming to Santa Barbara. I had developed a company there that had a 1.5% listing commission. And so when Kevin Goodwin, my dear friend and partner, and I talked about doing something different in Santa Barbara and trying to help homeowners and commercial property owners to save some money and yet not sacrifice good service, we decided to do that here. We ran that for about 10 years at the 1.5%. And what we learned and what we're chagrined to learn is that sometimes people just cannot get past that if you're not paying for it, it's
interesting.
It's just fascinating to me.
It's normally so 6%, isn't it? Although often you can get it down to 5%.
Yeah, there's not really a normal, but yes, I would say most brokerages charge 5%, 2.5% for the list side, 2.5% for the buying side. What we do though, still, is that we won't act as a dual agent at the agent level. So what that means is, in the event we have a property listed and we find the buyer, the agent that has the property listed finds the buyer, they'll only charge the 2.5% total. That's the total commission.
I do want to ask you how, I know now you are so very involved in this community, but when you first got here and were doing the Goodwin and Tyne 1.5%, what were you getting from other real estate agents? Because that must have been, was it slightly uncomfortable, honestly?
It's like any disruptor in an industry. Elon Musk isn't loved by all the gas-making car companies, and so you get a little pushback at first. But what Kevin and I think, really committed ourselves to is to always be professional, to always put the client's interests first, and to always treat our colleagues with respect. And I would like to think that in the 14 years we've been in business, that's the reputation we formed.
Well, I see your signs absolutely everywhere, both commercial and residential. Is there one you prefer over the other?
I personally do a lot of commercial real estate because I am an attorney and because those transactions can sometimes involve buyers and sellers that feel comfortable with an attorney involved. I love residential when we're helping somebody make a change in their life. Maybe they've had a large, 15,000 square foot home. They're now moving into a smaller home than that, and it's a big change for them. And to bring them over that bridge and show them, less can sometimes be more, and quality over quantity and things of that nature is very fun and exciting. We love, working with buyers who may be buying their first home or maybe buying their first home in Montecito or Santa Barbara. You may have heard last night there was a woman who she and her husband had just purchased here in Montecito, and they were set to close on the morning of January 9th, I believe it was, at 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
At 3:30 in the morning, they had damages from the mudslides following the fire, and yet they still closed. And she was interviewed last night and asked, would you do it again? And she said, absolutely.
Wow,
I
that gave me a little chill.
Yeah, she came in from Texas. This was her dream house.
Right.
The house is still standing, but it has about $50,000 in damage, and she's just taken with the community spirit, I think, is what she said, which is a great segue into I'm just so curious about so many things about the fire and then the slides afterwards, and things that people can really do to make sure that they are moving on in a way that is empowering themselves. But my first question has to do with property rates, because I was really concerned. I think the interactive map is terrific, the new interactive map. But in my mind, I just went, if I was looking to purchase a property and I put in the property in this new interactive map.
Put in the zip code and your address.
And what is your best guess? And I know it's only a guesstimate right now.
It's I assume what you're asking is how is the recent disaster going to impact the value of real estate in Montecito? And I literally minutes ago across the street here, one of my agents and I just had this conversation. I think in the short term, we're actually going to see an increase in prices. And that sounds counterintuitive given the fact that we've just lived through this horribly tragic natural disaster. But we have to look at the practical realities and the economic impact of that. You have 100-plus homes that were completely destroyed. They are gone. They cannot be rebuilt. And if they are rebuilt, they may be able to be rebuilt someday in the future. But if they're rebuilt, it's going to take years. It's not going to be in the next 12 months that those houses are back. So there's 100 home buyers right there. And then you have another 200 or so who had significant damage to their homes. And maybe they'll be able to repair it. Maybe they will do so quickly. But some may decide, this is too much house for us, or we've had significant changes to the landscape of our lot, and we'd like a change. So what I'm saying is that we've created a larger pool of buyers than we normally would see.
Well, you're making a supply and demand argument. But if somebody's coming from, say, Texas, they're not just considering the supply of Montecito. They're also thinking Newport, Carmel. There's a whole bunch of other places I could go that don't have this
Sure, but the
map.
The major part of our market is 75% of our market is local. So you're talking about 25% of the market. We sell 1,800 homes a year in this community between Carpinteria and Goleta. And so 75% of those are going to locals.
And they have friends here, and they've got kids in school, and they're committed.
Right.
Aren't you also assuming that people in Montecito that went through this are going to want to stay in Montecito? Because I'm not sure that's going to be the case. Definitely not 100%. Right?
Yeah, I will tell you, that's intuitively, that's what people think. Oh, everybody's going to pack up and go. Think about it. If you were impacted here, Catherine Raymark, are you going to pack up and go? If your home was damaged, really, are you out the door? You're going to San Diego? You're moving to New York?
No, I wouldn't go
maybe
there.
to Santa Barbara or Carpinteria.
Yeah, but I might.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So.
Sure.
Yeah.
You stay in this community.
Oh, without a doubt, I'd stay in this community.
So I would say the supply and demand, and again, that's maybe a shorter term, but we're going to see that, I believe.
Oh.
The other thing, though, is in terms of if we get into the law and all, we are talking about disclosure, and we are talking about having to point people toward that interactive map and say there is a risk for the next several years. Apparently, the Thomas Fire burned so hot that it actually sterilized the soil, which is going to cause the vegetation to take even longer to come back. And couple that with the fact that we're in a drought, which already challenges landscaping, we're gonna see some challenges for a while.
We're talking with John Thyne, and just fascinating. John, I follow you on Facebook, and you were the first to mention the fact that insurance companies were going to have to cover the debris flow due to the fact that it began with the Thomas Fire, and I've forgotten the stipulation now.
It's called efficient proximate cause.
And so one led to the other, essentially. But there are a lot of people that didn't know that at the time, and there are some insurance companies that are doing that right now and some that are hesitant to do it. But in the end, won't they all have to do that? And why are they hedging so much at this point?
That's called share
I think
share price.
Shareholders is why they're hedging, yes. But and Jane's right. I mean, insurance, the business of insurance oftentimes involves taking premiums from policyholders and using that money to invest. And so the longer the carrier can hold on to that money, the more return on investment they can generate, the more profits for the shareholders, the more money for the company. So it is an economic reality that insurance carriers prefer to delay when possible. Because of that, we have legislation that requires them not to. It's in California, insurance carriers actually have an affirmative duty of good faith versus a typical situation where you just have an obligation not to act in bad faith. So that's a higher standard. An insurance carrier actually has to act in good faith. And so while some of them did delay initially, and myself and others got out there and said, no, this is the efficient proximate cause, the Thomas Fire. I mean, it was that night that my wife and I were talking, and she said, you really ought to put something out there for people so that they know, because they're frightened and they may have just sustained an entire loss and they think that it won't be covered because they don't have flood insurance. And so she prompted me to put the word out that, no, this is actually a fire claim. This is not a flood claim.
Now, people still are going to have a loss if you lost your entire home because the value of your land has gone down, and that's not going to be covered by insurance, is it?
Well, land generally is not covered by insurance. There's always exceptions to every rule. There are some extended coverages you could have that would cover land. Now, landscaping is covered generally.
But if you can't rebuild, I mean, some of these places, it seems like you won't be able to rebuild.
So lots of different stuff there for a lawyer and a real estate lawyer. Couple things. First of all, of course, you work on getting all of the insurance benefits to which you are entitled. You should have competent counsel help you and counsel you through that. You should be aware of your rights of debris removal. You should be getting your additional living expenses paid out right now if you haven't already. Most have.
And I've heard even clothes. They should cover clothes.
Yeah,
if
clothing,
you have to buy clothes.
pet boarding, clothing, food, accommodations, all of that is additional living expenses. There's a whole panoply of
eating
of
out
things.
More restaurants if
That's
you
right.
normally are somebody who eats at home.
Yep, mileage. I mean, there's all sorts of additional living expenses
And
that people don't think about.
are you an advocate for your own self, or can you get somebody to be an advocate for you? Because this seems, both of you are a little more versed in this, but I'm listening to this, and I don't have the background that the two of you do. I'd be lost talking to my insurance company every day. Or
and a lot of people don't have the money to call a lawyer.
Well, but most attorneys will take these cases on contingency if, in fact, that's what the client needs. I always talk with my clients and we see if they would prefer an hourly, because a lot of times an hourly will actually come out less in terms of if they're paying me by the hour. It may not get to the
and sometimes
percent.
Just having a lawyer and a letter from a lawyer that your insurance company is going to pay a little more attention. I have found that in the past.
That is absolutely true.
Where's the letterhead?
There's also the fact that you pointed to uncompensated losses, and there's where we as attorneys are really bringing some